Greetings, Earthlings, wisdom keepers, wisdom seekers. Welcome back to WizdomDropz, your source for daily drops of wisdom and savvy cat astrology. My name is Tonia, and today we are discussing the Aries full moon happening today as I record this, October 1st. Yay, happy full moon. In your opposite sign, in Aries, Libra. So this is your horoscope if you are a Libra ascendant, sun, or moon. All three totally count in the world of astrology. And what you can expect for the next 2 weeks time minimum, and truly probably more like the next 4 weeks time, because that's until the next full moon. So, you know, lunar cycles in action. In this video, Libra, we will be discussing the different aspects of the planets that are being made under this full moon that we're seeing here today. And then we're going to be talking about how that relates to you specifically, obviously, because you're a Libra. So I did do a general overview. If you want to check that out, Libra, please do. That video is just very descriptive of more of the planetary interactions without putting it in any given sign. So this video is toward you, though. It's targeted towards your experience, what you can expect as a Libra for the next 4 weeks. By the way, happy birthday, Libras. I know we're literally in Libra season, and there's Libras around me having birthdays. So it's like, oh my God, I'm also a Libra. I don't usually talk about my sign, but I'm much later in the season. With that said, let's get into your forecast. And I think you're going to enjoy some of what I have to say because it's in your 7th house, and that's really exciting, no matter what is going on, right? So basically, like, the moon itself is in our 7th house as Libra energy beings, right? And so that's actually going to be a really positive thing in a certain regard. And why is that positive? Even though Mars is there, and if you watch that other video, you're going to know more about that. Because look, Mars is squaring Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, Libra, and Mars is with Lilith. So Mars is very intense right now, and he's retrograde. It's in our 7th house. So relationships, retrograde is like 3 times as intense, right? Or 3 times as deep, 3 times as internal. So basically that's like 3 times as intensely introspective in relationship to relationships. So let me just explain. If you're a Libra and you have relationships in your life, which all Libras do, I mean, everybody has some type of relationship, but like, you know, you're Libra. So anyway, like, relationships in your life that mean something to you of significance, like you're committed to these people. These are good friends. These are romantic partners. These are business partners. These are just people who you're in some form of relationship in a union form with, right? That's 7th house. Those sorts of people right now, Libra, have been and are continuing to, under the influence of the next 4 weeks for us, in more of a retrospective place. Maybe you have committed partnerships or friends who are thinking deeper about their relationship with you for better or for changeable, you know, other options like so-called worse. Whatever it might be, though, people are looking deeper within themselves that we are in relationship with, Libra. That's what's happening right now with Mars in retrograde in the 7th. And that's the ruling planet of the 7th house. So the ruler of the planet, excuse me, the ruler of the planet, Martians, we are Martians. No, the ruler of your 7th house, the ruler of the sign that is Aries, is in the sign that is Aries, that is your 7th house. So in other words, like, you know, the 7th house ruler is in its own place. And that means that there's a lot more energy there, period, in relationships for us right now, as it has been since this happened earlier in the summer, where, you know, Mars entered Aries. So it's been there for months now, like, you know, several weeks. But it's retrograde and it's with Lilith. And she's like the crazy unleashed feminine. So in our relationships, people are dealing with the shadow side of themselves as well that they don't want to deal with. Something about your presence is witnessing that, or possibly in some way collaborating within that dynamic of them doing further introspection on their own wild, liberated woman energy and their being. So now is like more of an advisor in this role of like astrologer, right? And say, I think that you are going to be experiencing a shift in terms of the type of relationship dynamics you are used to, Libra. Put in that way, I think that's very clear. Also, I think that that shift is not necessarily permanent, and that shift is also possibly a way. I'm seeing an image of like a staircase leading up to somewhere different, like on the pyramids, how it's a 90-degree angle leads you up into a different dimension, which makes sense with the square configuration in the heavens that we're seeing, that we're witnessing with this very planet Mars engaged in that square, right? But what I'm seeing is you're shifting up into newer dimensions and different dimensions. And some of those dimensions are there to stay. Some of those dimensions that you're shifting into with relationships are there to help you get from one point to another. Some of those relationship dynamics that are just there, you know, for the time being and aren't permanent and aren't meant to last for the long haul. But what is coming up right now is the awareness of that in your relationships. And this could also relate to sibling, excuse me, not to sibling, to family in general relationships and relationships with people from where you are from, your place of origin, because that square energy is originating from your fourth house. Libra is 1, Scorpio is 2, Sag is 3, Capricorn is 4. This is using ancient whole sign house system, right? So, that energy attention to this Mars, that is the ruler of our 7th house, is from our 4th house. So your relationship to home is deeply transforming right now. Where you grew up, where you come from, 4th house is deeply transforming right now. People in your deep family could be deeply transforming right now. Very likely in some way, shape, or form are. And it could be related to philosophies and belief systems because Jupiter is there. It could also be literal death and rebirth with Pluto here. I mean, and it could be a conjunction of those two things as the planets are conjunct, the death and rebirth of one's philosophies. You see what I'm saying? So combining those planets, Pluto plus Jupiter, and then plus Saturn, how we structure ourselves. And especially the rules, the regulations, the way things have been, the underlying law, because we have the planets of law, Jupiter and Saturn here, of where you grew up, the rules, the metaphorical law, if you will, not necessarily the legal law, but the law itself as a regulatory, you know, thing, could be in some way involved, Libra, in tension with your relationships. You might be a Libra in court with this type of energy, just as much as you might be a Libra starting like a land ownership initiative or something along those lines, and using business partner relationships in that process to manifest that from the home front of where you're from. That's a very literal interpretation as well. There's so many interpretations of how this information could be, you know, manifested in our everyday lives. But the gist of it is that there's some tension and potential for conflict between your home and where you grew up, with all this square energy of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn squaring Mars, and your relationships that you're in now and your partnerships that you're in now. Or there's some type of need to reconcile those, and it's a 90-degree angle, so it's manifesting tangibly as either a problem or a solution. 90-degree angles are always manifesting angles, and I love that I just summarized it like that, not to pontificate or whatever, but I am going to use that in the future because the 90-degree angle is an angle of manifestation, and therefore it's going to manifest. You can use it or you can lose it. You can use it for better or for worse. If you use it intelligently, strategically, it can be for the better. If you don't apply it and you haven't applied a series of spiritual lessons and principles that you've been guided and asked to apply leading up until that point, if you don't apply it, you're going to see the worst of it. You see what I'm saying? You need to give, there's really good astrologers who talk about this, y'all. You need to give the energy of tension a way of manifesting. If you don't give it a way of manifesting, if you don't give it a railroad tie to like follow and go through, you can get lost in the shit of the aspect. So give it a railroad path to function within. Don't lack right now. If you're a Libra and you know you need to be paying attention to actually building something, this is the time to be thinking deeply about it and thinking deeply about who you're partnering with in that process, Libra. Because look, Mars is in the 7th house. That's from you. So that's relationships. So you need to look to relationships and reflect and refine and just go deep, because retrograde is 3 times as deep within ourselves. In terms of your strategy, Mars is the planet of strategy and how you want to engage those relationships, because that's the planet of strategy. Retrograde 3 times as intense in the 7th house of relationships. You feel this is a full moon. Things are coming to fruition. Things are coming to a head. Things are coming out in the open. Things are becoming apparent that were previously hidden. So make things come forward as you want them to at this point in time, versus being the victim of something from that 4th house environment. You have the power, Libra, because the sun, you know, it's there, and the sun doesn't do too well in Libra because it's the opposite of Aries. It likes being in Aries. It's 1. The sun is 1. It rules Leo. It's the show. It's the showstopper. It's the middle of everything. It's the center of our freaking galaxy. Or not galaxy, but our solar system. So, you know, with that, the sun doesn't always function so well in Libra, but the moon is in the 7th house, and the moon's not in good dignity in Aries either. But who gives a shit if it's in good dignity? The moon is still in Aries, and it has something to offer with that. It has the childlike spark of truth to offer. Moon in Aries is deep. You know, people think it's shallow and stupid. They don't understand it. And it's conjunct Chiron though. So you are being, some way your relationships, there could be an element of motherly wounding, of feminine wounding, of the feminine element within, no matter if they're male bodied or female bodied or whatever bodied, the feminine element has some wounding that's coming to light. And through that wounding coming to light, it's offering healing though in your relationships. That's so poetic and so true for how I think this energy is going to manifest. Plus, look at over here. The Mars is with the Lilith. So that's liberated feminine. The hurt feminine, the moon, okay, is the feminine symbol of astrology, the feminine energy of the zodiac, of the planetary palette rather. The great mother, the divine mother, she's conjunct Chiron. So Chiron is the wounded healer. And then Mars is the planet of like masculine action and soldiers and warriors, okay, and firefighters, just like real yang energy beings. Conjunct Lilith, the divine feminine unleashed. She's like the moon on steroids and unleashed. Like she's just like the wild feminine. She don't give a fuck. She's like really badass. I love Lilith energy a lot. But she's conjunct Mars, the planet of action and drive and willpower. So your relationships are very complex right now, Libra. And I think there's themes of feminine wounding and feminine rage in your relationships. As a Libra, because this is your 7th house, Libra. So I see a lot of you coming into even deeper connections with people through pain and sharing painful experiences. Chiron conjunct the moon in the 7th house, full moon. Things are coming to a head. Chiron is with the moon. It's the wounded healer. It provides healing through the place in which it is wounded. Okay. And then you have also the unleashed divine feminine and her reflecting over what to do next. Mars retrograde, reflecting over how to approach the situation, reflecting over strategy around how does she become more of her authentic Lilith self. And, you know, that's echoed in the square aspects to Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. How does Mars move forward with virtue? Mars is standing up for something. Mars is standing up for what's right. Mars is standing up for something, period. But Mars is standing up for something what's right. That's also Aries energy as a result. So with that said, that's squaring the gods of karma and fate and belief and law. Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. We know what that's about. That's the great demise of society as we know it and the reconstruction, because Pluto's there to transform the situation, right? But with that said, I think that Libras out there are going to see different aspects of this. You're going to have gal pals or even just men in your life who are in a more feminine vibration, coming to terms with their more sensitive side, their more wounded side, and coming to terms with what they truly want. Their perhaps taboo elements. Lilith is very taboo in her energy. She don't care if it's taboo though. She is the taboo woman energy. She is like off limits, but she's like not off limits. She's because she's so true, and it's just you can't avoid true because true is true. So that's Lilith. Mars is trying to be true to itself right now. It's reflecting. You see that R next to it? That's really what retrograde, you could think of it as reflecting. As is Pluto. How do we create a new future? The 2 freaking planets of Scorpio. I don't know why people aren't talking about this. The big time astrologers who have like millions of followers, they haven't been talking about this. I'm talking about this. And we need to talk about this. The 2 planets of Scorpio, which is where we're having moon action. We're having a moon there on Halloween, y'all, in Scorpio. Pay attention, you know, pay attention, or not Halloween, mid-November, I'm sorry, mid-November. It's coming up, and Mercury retrograde will be in effect for this duration in the near future, okay? So just understand, Libra, there's going to be some changes here with how we go about doing things in the home environment and how that relates to society and our role there, and also with land management possibly, and also with deep family roots possibly in some way, shape, or form, and our relationships in general, our commitments, our partnerships, and our commitments and our partnerships and our business partners. Those people are going through emotional crises and trying to reflect on how to move forward. We as Libras are trying to reflect on how to move forward in these partnerships and how do we tie in these elements of home for better or for worse. I think it's more auspicious though. There's several indicators that this is an auspicious moon. Astrologers just might not be up on it or putting the proper emphasis on it. I'm gonna tell you 2 reasons that right now off the bat, 3 reasons. I'm gonna tell you at least 3 reasons real quick. 4 reasons why this is an auspicious new or full moon. Number 1, Mercury is conjunct Juno. That is very auspicious. That is the planet of soulmates. That's a 1-degree orb. That is very tight. Why is nobody talking about this? Mercury conjunct Juno by a 1-degree orb. That is soulmate communication all day, every day. In your second house of finances, you could have a blessing coming through in your finances, in your capital, in your immediate family, Libra. Second and fourth house activation here. Very interesting. Mercury does rule siblings, though, and friends. So siblings and friends who come through with deals for you, or even knowledge right now that benefits your capital, what you possess. Mercury, Juno in the second house. Auspicious AF. Number 2, Mercury is opposite Uranus. Some astrologers think that that is like a not so great thing. It can be. Mercury opposite Uranus can be related to explosions and not so good stuff. You know what else Mercury opposite Uranus is? Truth coming out. Messages of a divine higher source coming to the forefront. Opportunities that take you in a gold mine kind of energy manifestation. That is real deal Mercury opposite Uranus, y'all. Pay attention to the good when you read these bad aspects, bad quote unquote aspects. Number 3, Venus is in solid dignity still in the sign of Leo at 28 degrees and making nothing but positive aspects, including this beautiful trine to Mars, which is in tense aspect with all these planets we just spent all that time talking about in Capricorn. But look at the support it's getting from Venus. These are the passion planets. These are the planets of love and romance and action and fire and bliss and just, I mean, Mars isn't so much bliss. It's bliss through like adrenaline rush. Venus is bliss through like, oh my God, that feels so good. But anyway, like, you know, they're two sides of the same coin because that adrenaline rush still feels so good, right? With the Venus aspect of Mars and vice versa. So they're very connected, Venus and Mars, you see. That's why they lump together as the passion planets. Venus is of peace and Mars is of war, but in this aspect of this chart, of this full moon, of this lunation, October 1st, 2020, as I film, those two planets are in harmony. And that's sexy because they're supporting each other. And Mars uses that support from Venus right now at this time. It's getting a Venusian lift from a fellow fire energy, okay? That's carrying us. It don't matter if Venus is about to go in Virgo. This moon is like an imprint, and it is carrying us for the next 4 weeks until the next full moon. So this energy is imprinted like a stamp on a postcard, you know, for the next 4 weeks. So Venus is there supporting, period. And she's also sextiling over there to Mercury in Scorpio, which is conjunct Juno, the planet of soulmates. So this is all auspicious. This is another reason. And I told you I'd tell you 4 reasons. I have more, but you know, the other reason is that the ruler of the planet, that is the moon in this sign, the ruler of the sign that the moon is in, Mars, is in the sign that it's in. So it turns the energy dial up on this moon a lot. And that ruler is in, tense aspect to how do we reform society as we know it through our personal, as Libras, relationship with home environments and land and property and roots and where we came from, right? But it's also, Mars is saying, but we need to be in some way, especially this is your 11th house, we need to be engaged in networks of meaning, and we can even take on more of a role of leadership and celebrity, even if it's within a small scale, just to understand the notion of like a center being, a center organizer. You know, Libras are really good at shining in a public service role where they are engaging networks of people. And that, Libra, is what I'm seeing for you. That very thing that makes you Libra is what I'm seeing lit up with good feminine support by this Venus. So that's another reason. That's another reason, in addition to like your, you know, that is supporting your relationships right now. You see what I'm saying? Your 11th house is sending a trine to your 7th house. Those are very, very, very auspicious houses to have this trine energy in. So I think that as a Libra, you're going to see some positive shifts in your networks. You're going to see some positive shifts in your relationships. Those relationships are still undefined in some instances. They're still being figured out. You're still figuring out how to reconcile those relationships with where you grew up and your belief systems and the people that define your home, that your root, that is where you were from and who you are. But ultimately, friends and colleagues and siblings can be the source of some economic gain right now, and it comes in surprising ways and in ways that also help you become more true and genius and innovative. Mercury opposite Uranus, because you know, Uranus is in your 8th house of other people's resources. You can get investors out of nowhere or some really nice thing manifesting. This is a beautiful moon. This full moon is really good for Libra. I think it's really good for Libra. If you look at just the good astrology in here, yeah, there's tension between home and relationships. There might be Libras out there manifesting this, like you're You have to change your job because your relationships aren't able they just aren't compatible with that anymore. That could be a real crisis that Libras out there are going through. So I want to be honest about that. But at the same time, look at the omens, read the omens. It's all for the better. It's all for the betterment. And you have a powerful opportunity to redefine how you connect right now with people, to redefine how you meet relationships. I think that's the title of this video. Redefine your relationships and maximize what's on offer, because that is what's here for you. You have an opportunity to redefine, level up if you choose to level up, and keep with my ending suggestion, Libra, keep with this Venus vibe. You are Venus. Wherever she goes, you are, because it's your ruling planet. She is in good health under this lunation. Stick with that for the next 4 weeks. As Venus transits into Virgo, you might come up with more self-criticism than you know what to do with, but use it. Virgo Venus wants you to use that for the betterment, not in a judging way, not in a dilapidating, undermining way, in a healthy way, Libra. Do that, you will fly successfully. Okay. With that said, Libra, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I am offering a class I didn't even mention at the beginning. You are basically welcome to make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you have not already subscribed, what are you doing? Also, I'm teaching a course. So as I was just saying, if you want to actually learn this stuff, Libra, for yourself, have this toolkit in your kit of tools. And as a Libra, you will be using this on like everybody you know, okay? If you want that for yourself and you want to learn from a solid source and have solid foundations in this stuff and have a good guide, a good just understanding and ability for yourself, the capacity to read charts, I'm offering a course, and the registration deadline is literally only 4 weeks away. If you ain't there, we is sailing. The boat is off. If you're on it, great. If you ain't, now's the time to get on. So the link to my Calendly is down below. Schedule a meeting if you want to discuss any more details about that to make sure we're a good fit. I want to understand your goals, and I want you to understand your goals, and then see if that aligns, okay? With that said, like the video if it brings you any value, because it helps other people see it, and the more Libras who get the wisdom and the support and the good judge, the better. So with that said, through next time, until next time, may the stars be with you. Peace.